This is Aaron Rice with Maryland Climate Tech 2026. I'm here with another great guest, Dr. Montgomery, who, well, I'm going to let her introduce herself. Dr. Montgomery, let people know who you are, what you do, and where you do it.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you so very much, Aaron, for inviting us to be part of this amazing event. We are always very happy to share our work, what we're doing, where we are. And so, again, appreciation. So, I am Dr. Estelle-Marie Montgomery. I am the Executive Director of the FH Faunteroy Center and Resilience Incubator. We are located in what is considered east of the river in Washington, D.C. That geographic marker will become significant as I speak more about the work that we do. We are implementing Washington, D.C.'s first community-led focused resilience hub. And again, we will get into what all of that means as well later. And so regionally, I would say that we are probably leading in the expansive implementation of the concept and the framework that we're using at our Resilience Hub. We have branded it the Resilience Incubator because we are leading, we are laying down foundational blueprints that don't exist. And when you think about an incubator, you think about something that is protected, but definitely is, protected with the intention of growth and fortitude and so forth. And so, with everything that we do, we meet the community where they are. We incubate our community with trust and with the hopes that we are fortifying individuals and, as a result, the community to be able to be stronger and more resilient.
I love it. I love it. So, for those that are not familiar with the concept, what is a resiliency hub?
Right. So, it's interesting because what is a resilience hub? Sometimes I meet individuals that are blank slate. I have no idea what a resilience hub is. I would say, oh, I prefer explaining it to those individuals. Some think of resiliency in terms of power resiliency. So there's been a lot of initiatives around, solar power, and then, in a building, and then they say it's a resilience hub because it provides resilient power. And so from a power perspective, it's a hub. And then you have others that think of resilience hubs as centers that are prepared to deal with emergencies.
Mhm.
So they're equipped with emergency management procedures and resources, and the community can come in once in a while to sort of tap into some of these resources, but it's really sort of that emergency management. Leading as a result of, climate vulnerabilities. So it might be a frontline community in terms of hurricane, uh, flooding, other infrastructural disruptions that could happen. So while we do both things, we do have solar installed at our location, and we do have programming geared towards emergency management and preparedness and so forth, and even environmental sustainability programming. We are implementing a more expansive definition of resiliency. Right. So if you think about it from a community perspective, the determinants of resiliency goes beyond environmental resiliency, right? It is, in fact, the socio-economic, health, and community components, right, that are really necessary because most of these frontline communities are going to be challenged by one, if not all, of these areas, right? So resiliency is not just about the acute response and ability to respond when there's disruption, and not only about, okay, there is this environmental vulnerability and the community needs to understand it. These are all very important. But how do we actually embed resiliency in a very sustainable way by addressing all of these other components?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, when I think of a resilience hub, I think of very similar things that you mentioned. In a catastrophic emergency, it's a place where people can store and refrigerate their medication if they need to. They can plug up, charge up their cell phones if they need to, their computers, access to safe drinking water, and hopefully it would have some food or MREs or something just to sustain people. Just kind of a central place that the community knows that they can go to and be safe. What was when we grew up, a bomb shelter, in a sense, but kind of the 2.0 version of that. Is that, but you've gone beyond that in your approach, which I think is amazing.
Yes, so we are following a framework that actually has been very clearly designed, and the organization, the Resilience Hub Collaborative, have this framework. So it's not something we have formulated ourselves. What
Hmm.
we are doing is implementing the vision that the community had based on this framework, based on this expansive framework.
Hmm.
So let me take a step back. We are currently in the process of a footprint, an expansion of our footprint. We're going from 2,000 square feet to 7,000 square feet. And at the same time, installing our solar and battery backup systems. What we're going to be able to have at this location are programmatic spaces that are designed to address the deficiencies, right? And the challenges of the community when we talk about those economic, social, and health related challenges. At the same time, asking ourselves the question, what does this space become when there is a catastrophic disruption? How does it transform? So, for instance, we will have a commercial kitchen. In that commercial kitchen, when you think about what we can do in that kitchen, we can address economic mobility by incubating food entrepreneurs, right? We can, but at the same time, imagine there's a catastrophic emergency that requires food distribution. We are now very well equipped to do perishables and non-perishable food distribution. We are able to actually cook for the
Hmm.
community in this commercial kitchen. But on a daily basis, we can also address food insecurity issues that the community is having. We can host nutritional literacy classes, right? We have a broadcasting and recording studio. Regular programming is exposure to that sector that we have also entrepreneurs in broadcasting that could use that space. In an emergency, this becomes a very important communication resource, right? We will have a tech center on in terms of our daily programming, addressing all of those challenges. This is going to be, it also has an augmented reality and virtual reality experience room. So in
Wow,
terms, yeah, so
that's
in terms of
impressive.
training and exposure and enrichment, we will be able to do all of that. It will also have a fabrication lab. And we
Mm.
also have a maker's lab for our creatives.
Wow.
So while serving youth, adult, and seniors, we cut across a myriad of career pathway trainings from the technical to health related to the creatives. And then when you think about our young people, in all of these spaces, we are going to be able to expose them to so much so that in fact, when they are finished with high school, whether they go on to a four-year degree or they choose a trade, our mission is to make sure that every young person that comes through that door understands that there are possibilities
Hmm. Hmm.
post high school.
Hmm.
And when we talk about economic mobility, that's really the beginning of it. When you talk about prevention of unemployment, prevention of underemployment, and breaking the cycle of poverty, that's really what it's about. So each of these dynamic spaces, we have lounges so that our community, even when there's no disruption, if it's hot outside, it's cold outside, or you have a power outage at your home and it's just you, it doesn't have to be the whole community. You can come, sit down, charge up. It's a trusted location, more importantly. That's why we're able to do all of this.
Wow. So, wow. So I heard, I was going to try to unpack that a little bit. I heard co-working. I heard incubator. I feels like an accelerator.
Yes.
All of that, kind of under the guise or disguised as a resilience hub. It's like an expanded version or expanded concept that I think you're right is extremely unique. So is it if someone wanted to go there today, is the space available and open today, or are you still in pre-construction phase, or what phase are you in right now?
So we have minimal programming taking place right now. We're
Okay.
really seeing the minimal and
Hmm.
serving our community quite minimally. We did not want to shut down. COVID was traumatic,
Hmm.
the whole shutdown during COVID, and we did
Yeah.
not want to do that. So we are at bare minimum programming
Hmm.
while construction is going on. What we are excited about is that in late spring, we will be officially opening the full space. We cannot wait. We've been under construction for 2 years, and we're very excited about the possibilities. Also, in terms of expanding upon one of the areas that we have been incubating in this period, is that multi-partner approach, really implementing that public-private partnership, right, in various ways. And that has been a very exciting development for me in my position in terms of how can partnership be captured um, in programming, under volunteerism, under funding, sponsorship. I mean, there's so many different ways, and really working with government entities, local government, as well as our business partners as well in the private industry, and really bringing that together as this community-based organization.
Hmm.
So that's just very exciting. So we're looking forward to opening up and really expanding all of the models that and methodologies that we have been incubating.
Well, I can't wait to see it. And one thing that I will be happy to do, if you're open to the idea, when we're not talking about indoor air quality and climate change, we also do a lot of LiDAR digital twinning of properties. So would love to create a digital twin of the property so that you can, put it on your website and use it to kind of show off the property to other
I love
stakeholders
that.
who might be, dispersed across the globe, interested in what you're doing. So it's a great kind of collaboration tool as well. So know that that invitation is open to you.
Well, I'm gonna take you up on that invitation. I love it. I love
Okay,
it.
okay. Especially since you've got a VR AR room, because once
Exactly.
this digital twin is done, it actually creates a virtual reality tour. So someone could actually put on a headset. So if you're traveling to a conference across the globe and you want to be able to show off your building, you could put somebody in a VR headset and they could actually tour it in VR. But that we'll talk about that later. But yes, definitely. So then, so obviously you've have studied this. This is you have a PhD in this. You've earned your doctorate in this lane, right? So
No, 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 no,
no,
no, not at all. Aaron, I came to this project by way of COVID.
the blessings of COVID.
So I have been executive director for I'm coming up in my fifth year
Oh
as
wow,
of April.
congratulations. Okay.
Thank you, thank you. So no, I my PhD is actually in neuropsychology and neurosciences. When I decided I wasn't going to continue as a researcher, I stepped into the private sector, the corporate private sector. I spent 10 years in a global IT service company in Europe.
Oh wow. Okay.
And then when I decided that, that was good, I learned a lot, in terms of how corporations work, how global organization. I took a lot from that experience.
Mhm.
And I started my own, consulting firm, and I did everything from organizational transformation to strategic implementation, formulation and implementation, global leadership, lecturing. And one of the things that I was doing before COVID hit was really leading an international investment project in Kenya. And it was very exciting and innovative, involved local capacity building, which is a passion of mine. I'm originally from Nigeria. So, in
Wow. Okay.
terms of, how do you build capacity? How do you diversify economies? How do you create opportunities? You can see
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
there really is, in
Yes.
terms of that,
Sure.
there is a through line.
Hmm.
And well, COVID came and grounded all of us
Right.
and really put a halt to a lot of projects,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So
And started new ones.
and started new ones. So my client at the time is actually the founder of the Faunteroy Center. It
Okay.
is named after his grandfather. This is a local, native Washingtonian, born
So
and
that I
bred.
was going to ask, what is the connection to Walter Fauntroy, if any?
There's no connection.
No connection. Okay.
This is a completely different family that's
Oh
often
wow.
confused.
Okay. Okay.
This family name is Faunteroy.
Um,
However, in terms of being native Washingtonians dedicated to empowering their community, that is no different. So
Interesting.
the Fauntleroy, the F. Harvey Fauntleroy, you got me confused there saying Walter, was a gentleman who was very much committed to youth development, youth opportunity, and community capacity building. And so when his grandson, sorry, decided to name the center after his grandfather, it wasn't just, oh, I have a grandfather that I think is a great guy. Let me just name this after him. It was really as a continuation, a legacy piece for him. And the founder, Anthony Wash himself, is also very committed to community development
Mhm.
and has a very successful, electrical contracting company and in development and so forth, but always community first. And let me just take a moment to say that. This whole project, regardless of how expansive it's going to become,
Mhm.
first and foremost, it's about the community. It is the community that came up with this vision. So, no, it's not my expertise. I don't have the expertise in environmental sciences or community uh, engagement. No, I've just used the expertise from my experience, leaning on the community to tell them and teach me. And I have fallen in love with this community. And also just other experts around. There's so many experts around. I don't have to be the expert in a room. What I am very skilled at is how to bring expertise together for the betterment of whatever the objective or a mission is. And so I would say that's been my superpower in this whole process, is really leaning on the cultural heritage, community commitment, that's going on, and then knowing how to rally partnerships and expertise so that we're all facing the same direction so that we can actually have an output. But it's been a process. The community has been working on this for close to 10 years, and my journey is only 5 of those 10 years.
Well, I know and sometimes I find myself in these spaces and places. I mean, I'm a real estate practitioner, I should be selling homes and leasing office space, which I do. But I'm also passionate about, housing and health and wellness of building occupants and history as well. And I tend to suffer from, imposter syndrome from time to time. It sounds like that's not a thing for you. You totally,
So
don't let it creep.
my solution for imposter syndrome is literally saying, I don't know. I know what I am good at.
Right.
I know exactly what I am good at. And I know that I am very good at communicating and conveying messaging and information. It is the reason why I've been successful in all of my previous projects.
Right.
And I get very excited about things that have never been done before.
Mm.
I find it extremely challenging and inspiring. So those, I just lean on my superpower.
Yeah.
In terms of knowledge expertise, I will be the first one to tell you what I am not knowledgeable about.
Mhm.
But to lead, I think I do a pretty good job with that.
Very, very good job at that. It's interesting and hearing the name and not knowing the distinction between the two. I immediately, when I heard you speak, because we met last week actually at
Yes.
the Montgomery County Green Bank event. Shout out to Samuel Serfel and the Montgomery County Green Bank. They'll actually be presenting for Maryland Climate Tech as well. But I immediately, when I heard the name, thought of Northwest Washington, D.C., in and around the Shaw community. in and around Howard University. And then when you said kind of east of the river, I was like, that the picture in my mind, because I lived in DC with the Howard, married a Howard woman, so I'm very familiar with DC. So when you were saying on the east side of the river, I was like, that. So I appreciate you making that distinction, and it's interesting that the names be so close and be in the city, and I'm sure it's often confused. But talk to me a little bit about some of the because you have a footprint now, but you're kind of adding onto it. You're retrofitting it. You're adding solar and some resiliency measures and renewables. Talk to me about the intention on kind of the health and wellness of the building occupants. Are you going to be monitoring indoor air quality using indoor air quality sensing, or what type of smart, systems do you have? Like when you travel, can you see how the building's performing from a smartphone app? Has it gone that far yet, or um, are these just aspirations?
No, so let me actually take us a step back. I love that geographic reference that you made because that is very important context for your questions.
Mm-hmm.
So, as an international experiencing Washington, D.C., right? Um, since the 80s, I used to come to D.C. There's Capitol Hill and there's a neighborhood behind Capitol Hill.
Right.
And I believed that that was the end of Washington, D.C. What most people don't know who are not from this area and who come to Washington, D.C. is that there is a community. Washington, D.C. is split up in 8 wards,
Right.
and 2 of those wards are east of the Anacostia River. And unfortunately, these are also communities that have not benefited for some of the advanced developments that you see west of the
Mm-hmm.
Anacostia River.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the communities that which are plagued with the underemployment, the highest rates of underemployment, unemployment, poor outdoor air quality, and poor indoor air quality having to do with the environmental challenges that the community face. So specifically, so we are located in Ward 7.
Okay.
Ward 7 is home to more than 85% of single family homes in Washington, D.C. that are in the flood zone.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So as soon as I say that, I'm going to assume that you understand that if a house is flooding, that's going to compromise indoor air quality.
In a major way.
Correct.
Hmm.
So you have individuals whose health are also compromised
Hmm.
when they step out and
Hmm.
when they're inside.
Hmm.
So air quality is a topic that are on the minds of many. Highest rate of asthma. Well, you just don't have the highest rate of asthma because the air is doing so wonderfully,
Right. Right.
right? So, when we talk about environmental sustainability programming, awareness, education, and so forth, one of the things that we're doing is making sure that we're educating the community about the vulnerabilities that exist infrastructurally in the community. So,
Mhm.
the flooding and what are the entitlements, right? The special programs that are in place that the community can take advantage of,
Mhm.
right? In order to retrofit their homes and so forth and solve the issues of around flooding. So we, as of now, air quality monitoring is not an automated process. However, we do have ambitions to measure our indoor air quality and to engage in. So we have a farm to table programming. Well, farm to table, a lot of people think about outdoor agricultural activities, and we're going to do that. But what we're very interested in is indoor agricultural activities, not only to show that you can also grow healthy vegetables and herbs indoors and contribute to your general health, but also how that contributes in indoor air quality, improvement of indoor air quality. So we're going to be implementing, things like that. And like I said, in terms of the automation of air quality monitoring, we would love to talk to you about that and understand the types of things that we could put in play and how we can even expand upon what we do at our location as part of our educational series with the community. So that's an invitation from us to you
Sure. Yeah, no.
to come and be a part of that process. We do have ambitions to expand our footprint and
Hmm.
really take this Faunteroy methodology and approach to other parts of Washington, D.C., but also into Maryland.
Hmm.
We are going to be part of a development that's taking place on the other side of the
Hmm.
border, same community, which is why we're excited about that, so that we have continuation from the DC side into the Maryland side of the same community, challenged by the same issues. So yes, we have really garnered, if you will, subject matter expertise around the implementation of this expansive definition of resilience hubs and also expertise in the various types of programming that we're doing. So we're very excited about, featuring those services to other organizations and municipalities and so forth who are interested in understanding more.
Absolutely, absolutely. When you're explaining all the things that you do and are planning to do, I hear franchise. Franchise immediately pops to mind as kind of a global model, actually. But so Maryland's very interesting in the sense that what we're talking about at Maryland Climate Tech 2026 is like we've got 4 or 5 pillars. One is, Baltimore City has the highest rate of asthma-related fatalities in the nation. African American women 4 times more likely to die from asthma than white men, and African American children 6 times more likely to die from asthma than white children. So, and that has to do with our older historic architecture. And we have more historic architecture than New York and DC combined. We've got more historic architecture than any other city in the country. So, which creates a retrofit opportunity when we're talking about workforce development and entrepreneurship. It does create that opportunity. But also in Maryland, we've got a pretty big radon issue. I come to this space from, using one of these indoor air quality monitors, like a reset accredited monitor, and measuring radon in my home. And come to find out, we had extremely high levels, where the EPA equates the levels of radon that we had here in Randallstown, Maryland, to smoking, 20 to 40 cigarettes a day, and we've been here for 25 years. So, after doing more research, realizing that 1 in 4 homes in Maryland have radon levels that are above the EPA action limit. The national number is 1 in 15. Maryland, it's 1 in 4. That's another issue that we're dealing with here in Maryland. A fourth issue is Maryland has the highest energy bills of any state in the nation. We're spending annually, median energy bill is about $6,500 a year, which is just, you know, crazy. I'm looking at my energy. My wife gave me our energy bill here. It says that our usage is down 6%. We're performing better than other homes in the neighborhood, not because we've done anything other than just keep the temperature at 68 or 70, but
Right.
our bills still doubled. So that's another thing that we're contending with. Also here in Maryland, we're following DC. We're a little late to the game, but we've got the most aggressive climate law in the country. Unlike DC, our buildings 35,000 square feet or more need to be net zero by 2040. And the challenge there is that I rarely run into building owners or corporate tenants that even know that this law exists. So we don't have a lot of time,
Right.
but we've got that law to contend with. And then the fifth thing that we're looking to overcome by educating our audience is climate change and sea level rise. We mainly been focused on the Eastern Shore, the birthplace of Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, the Underground Railroad, the birthplace of soul food, the American cuisine, the crabbing industry is slowly floating away because of sea level rise and land subsided. So those are the 5 things that we're contending with here. I did not take into account what you were mentioning about Ward 7 and the asthma exacerbations there, because I think they very much mimic what's happening in Baltimore City and some of our underserved neighborhoods, and the same thing that's happening on the Eastern Shore when it comes to indoor air quality. But
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of the flooding and the sea level, well, it's
Oh,
not sea
yeah.
level rise, but the flooding that's happening there as well.
Yeah. So we have Watts Branch, which is a tributary of the Anacostia. And you can imagine if there haven't been investments made, structural investments made, these blue-green, infrastructural components that aesthetically are beautiful, but they have to be maintained, and they have to be maintained in such a way that homes that border that border Watts Branch are being, using that word again, fortified so that nature can do what nature needs to do, but not at the cost of homeowners. We have a series called Ready Ward 7 series, and with our Ready Ward 7 series, what we do there is we pick a topic and we present on it to educate the community. And I'll never forget one session we were talking about flooding, and this gentleman, my heart broke. He said, "Our only family wealth is our home.
Mm,
And I don't want to leave a flooded home to my children,
mm.
a flooded home and a molded home to my children." And I mean, that just silenced me because, again, how is environmental concerns connected to economic mobility? That is just one of an example of this direct, you cannot separate these things.
It's a life thief,
Yes,
literally taking years away from our lives, the boxes that we
correct.
live in. Yeah.
Correct, correct. So this is why, some folks who want to be very critical, sort of looking at what we're doing, go, "You're trying to do too much at once." It's like it is not too much at once. Everything is connected. And I dare say the issue has been up till now is that we've worked in silos. And we have to dare not to work in silos and to allow the interconnectivity of things be what leads us towards solutions that are workable, you
No,
know?
I agree wholeheartedly. One of the silos that we face, kind of on the well, like we're all facing it. You're you're not excluded. Is the engineering that wants to focus on energy conservation and greenhouse gas reduction and just saving energy dollars, which we definitely need to do, and electrification and thinking that if we electrify a building healthy indoor air comes along for the ride. And I'm here to say that that's not true. That's a falsehood. It's a misunderstanding. I'm an indoor air quality nerd. I take my indoor air quality monitors with me everywhere. Every building that I take them to, I'm surprised when the air performs well. It's very rare that I'm in a building where the air performs well. Most buildings, even when they have the gold, silver, platinum, all the environmental certifications, they could be net zero. I've been in net zero buildings that perform horribly when it comes to indoor air quality. And so that's because we've got one silo of engineers, bless their heart, focused on energy efficiency and if we increase ventilation, it's only going to increase the energy costs, and we can have both, right? And unfortunately, the public health sector is left out of those conversations. They've been
Right,
value engineered out because it costs too much. But
right,
really, um, you know, taking care of the people in the building. I mean, I know for you as executive director of your organization, I don't know how big your organization is, but what I do know is, staff salaries and benefits, if you have them, are the largest thing that you're spending in that building. Then, so that's $300 a square foot right there. $30 a square foot is going to mortgage and operations, and $3 a square foot is going to utilities, right? And so, if we can make the property as healthy as possible and get your staff to be at work one more day per year. The
mhm,
amount of value that brings to an organization, nonprofit, for profit, it doesn't matter, would literally pay for the building, pay for the utilities, pay for the operations in the long term. And so what I'm hearing from you is definitely a high level of focus on, indoor air quality. And when I'm talking to other organizations that are considering not where you're going with resilience hubs, but they're considering something along that pathway, is that it should also be a reprieve for people that have respiratory issues. Because, what I've learned in my studies is a building can make you sick when you walk into it. Sick building syndrome, it's a thing,
yeah,
or it can make you well. And when you leave that building, you sleep better at night because you were in a building where the building owner, the property manager, was very intentional about using MERV 16 air filters, very intentional about monitoring the air quality and using some sort of demand control ventilation to make sure that it's a performing building. I'm excited to know that at least that's a concern and something that you're looking to address, and anything that we can do to bring that to bear, we'd love to be able to do that for you.
No, absolutely. So I just think this is the beginning of a longer conversation. Absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely. I've got more questions. We have time. Unfortunately, we do need to close this out. But is there anything that I didn't ask you that you want people to know about yourself and what you're doing in DC?
Well, I love showing off what we do. I absolutely love showing off what we do. And seeing is believing and seeing is understanding. So I can go on and on and on. It's one of the reasons I didn't want to do slides. Thanks, Aaron. Is you have to come and see. And I invite folks and organizations to come out and see what we're doing. I love giving tours. I would like to take this opportunity to say something. You mentioned, indoor air quality, a concern for profit, nonprofit as well as for profits. I'm so glad that you said that because one of the things that I like to convey in this work that we're doing is saying an organization is a nonprofit does not mean anything, right? It's a tax designation.
Right,
We
right.
all have to deal with the same things as an enterprise, whether it's a social enterprise that's doing good and has to figure out how to do well,
That's right.
or a for-profit, tax designated for-profit enterprise that's doing well and is, if you have some level of I want to give back, how do I do good? But we're all enterprises,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
Challenged with the same things. What's our value add?
Hmm.
What's our dividends?
Hmm.
What are our dividends?
Hmm.
And how do we make an impact? So
Hmm.
I wanted to take that opportunity to just say that, th it's one of the reasons why our multi-partner approach is working is
Right.
because just recognizing that a tax designation does not define who we are as an organization, but what we're doing. So
Well,
I would say I have an open invitation. Folks can reach out to us. Follow us on LinkedIn, please. You can see what we're doing and what we're up to. And I'm looking forward to collaborating with you, with your organization in terms of indoor air quality, but also, in other areas as well.
absolutely, absolutely. And all of your contact information will magically appear on the screen in post, and we'll probably put a QR code that goes directly to people that want to support your social impact work. They can do that in your mission-based work as well. So we want to make sure that people have that opportunity. I think you dropped the mic. I'll try to pick it up for you. So I appreciate your time, your subject matter expertise, and all that you're doing in Ward 7 and in DC proper and all in the DMV as well. So looking forward to expanding in Baltimore.
Excellent. Thank you so much,
Thank you
Aaron.
so much. Have a great day.